Hello mentors. In this video, we will go over Meeting 2's second activity, Fraction Stories. In this activity, the students will play a game in which they will take turns filling a number road with fractions to gain points. The fractions are chosen after calculating values from the story templates provided. But before we go into the details of the activity, let's review the educational goals. It is very important to keep in mind these goals while doing the activity with the students. These goals will guide you along during the meeting, so be sure to remember them. For the first goal of the activity, we want students to represent fractions visually. We can aid this goal by using the fraction wall that will be provided. It provides a handy tool for students to visualize fractions. For the final goal, we want students to compare fractions using different methods, numerically and visually. We have to help students create a link between numerical and visual concepts to apply to real-life scenarios. Now, let's move on to some basic points that should cover how the game works. First, the student with the most points at the end of the game wins. The game ends when the board is full, or when every student passes and no moves can be made. Second, each student fills in a space on the game board with a fraction. These fractions go in incremental order. If a student can write in a fraction that fits in the order, they pass their turn. Third, during every turn, the player must perform 3 actions. The first action is to roll 4 dice. The second action is to choose from those 4 dice 2 to 3 numbers and create a fraction story with one of the templates, and then calculate the value of fraction x based off the story and the numbers you choose. And finally, number 3. Once you have fraction x, find a spot on the game board to write in fraction x. Keep in mind that the fractions must be in incremental order. Now, let's move on to an example. Suppose some terms have passed and I choose the numbers 4 and 6, and choose template A to fill in. Once I plug in the numbers and calculate the fraction, I find that the fraction x is 4 over 6. Where on the game board can I go? The fraction 4 over 6 is greater than 1 over 4 and lesser than 7 over 8, so it can only go in one of the 2 spaces that have a check mark. Once the student finishes up their turn, you should count the points they have earned. You count the points by counting the amount of spaces from the fraction x to the closest filled space on the board. For example, suppose the next fraction to play was 7 over 6. This fraction is greater than 1, but it is lesser than 3 over 2, so it must be in a space between those 2 numbers. If we play it in that spot on the board, it will be 3 spaces away from the next filled up space. This student will receive 3 points for this turn. Points even count to the next available number, even the 1 or infinity. If the next fraction is 9 over 3 and place it there, the student will receive 5 points, since infinity is 5 spaces away. Once you count the points, you should move on to the next player. Repeat this process until all the spaces are filled or no more moves can be made. These 5 points should cover the basics of the game. I hope you find this video helpful, and if you have any suggestions, please let us know. Thank you for watching.